This is 7-5 Radio with Walter Yerkew and Peter Scoop Stanton. This is the radio show that will break your neck, if your neck needs breaking. And here are the hosts of 7-5 Radio, Walter Yerkew, star of the biggest documentary movie ever made, The 7-5, and Peter Scoop Stanton, who starred in To Catch a Predator.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, one and all. This is Peter Scoop Stanton with Walter Yerkew on 7-5 Radio. We are at 75radio.org. That's the number 75radio.org. We are live. It is approximately 8 minutes after the hour on Saturday, December 19th, 2020. Walt, how are we doing tonight, sir?
Well, I'm doing pretty good, man. It's starting to warm up down here in the Middle South. I hate that nonsense of below 30. I hate that crap.
Wow. It is approximately 33 degrees according to the thermostat here in the Ford vehicle. Anyways, first order of business, we always want to remember those members of the law enforcement community murdered in line of duty. Tonight we want to remember Police Officer Jason Shipping of the Concord, North Carolina Police Department's end of watch, December 16th, 2020. His killer is shot and killed. Also, Police Officer Tyler Herndon of the Mount Holly, North Carolina Police Department, end of watch, December 11th, 2020. He was responding to a burglary call. His killer is alive and in custody. Also, we want to remember Detectives Wenjian and Rafael Ramos of the New York City, New York Police Department, end of watch, December 20th, 2014. Tomorrow or today, it is the 6th-year anniversary when some piece of absolute trash named Ismael Brinsley went from Owings Mill, Maryland, up to Brooklyn, New York, to give some pigs their wings, according to him. He walked up to the RMP where Detectives Lou and Ramos were enjoying a well-deserved break and opened fire in the car. Fortunately for society and the human race, Mr. Brinsley went into a local subway station and killed himself. So a lot has happened in 6 years since these officers were murdered. These men were murdered because the Commander-in-Chief, Barack Obama, declared a war on cops. He didn't come out and say that he is declaring war on cops, but his actions have stated otherwise. Detective Ramos's funeral, Vice President at the time, Joe Biden, spoke at the funeral. Years later, during a campaign stop for 2020, he trashed the police. So anyways, a couple good things also came out of this. Mrs. Lou fathered a little girl. She gave birth to a little girl. When they brought Detective Lou to Brookdale Hospital, they said, well, we can save a sperm in case you want to have a child in the future. She said, okay. So she's the proud mother of a little girl. The wife of Detective Ramos started the Detective Rafael Ramos Foundation, where they help underprivileged kids. Meanwhile, for Ismael Brinsley, nobody remembers him at all. Nobody thinks about him or speaks about him. Now, mainstream media, of course, only comes on the bandwagon when incidents like this happen. They say they back the cops, they support the cops. No, they don't. They talk about the police when it makes the news. Over the summer, when America's cities were burning, they said they supported the police and thought defunding the police was absolutely crazy. But now, nothing much is going on other than Joe Biden is about to become the 46th president, and they mention nothing of this. Well, what's your feelings on this incident from 6 years ago and the way so-called conservative media say they're friends of police but do absolutely nothing?
Well, 6 years is a blink of an eye in God's life. And the way it was 6 years ago, when these two fine officers lost their lives, to the actions of some POS. You're right. We don't think about that POS. It's the cops that we think about. And at that time and place in 2014, it was a time where cops were referred to as the good guys. They were good guys. You know, when it came down to a cop shooting, and when the perp got killed, I believe most people, not just NYPD people, but people across the nation, saying, well, the guy probably did something he should have, and he got what was coming to him. Now it's flipped the script. God forbid, when a cop gets killed, you got people in the street saying, well, he was probably doing something he shouldn't have been doing. He got what he deserved. So the flip, and there's my point in saying that is there's no support from that man that you said that's supposed to be president next month. Nothing. Not even his little girl that he's taking with him, on a stroll through the White House. This is going to be an issue for the next 4, 8, 12, 16 years. It's not going to get any better with this character in the White House because he's shown no support for the police, and he's also not spoken against all the people that were rioting, the Antifa, those second city people up there that claimed some kind of sovereignty in Seattle and Portland. He's never stepped out and told them that you got to stop what you're doing. And the police still have their hands cuffed by politicians and politics and that kind of baloney. It's worse than it was in the 80s, when we were told to slow down on drug arrests because the jails were filling up with the then governor, what's his name? Can't even remember his name. Yeah, Ramos. And the jails were filling up because it was based on Rockefeller's drug laws from the late 60s, early 70s. So, these cops are, when they put on that vest and that gun belt and head out into an RMP and go driving around, their hands are tied. Their hands are tied. They're being told what to do by people that are supposed to represent the law, and they want you as a police officer to forget about the law, do what we want you to do. And a perfect reflection would be at Max Bar on Staten Island. Police ignored it, which I would have done, and the sheriff took over.
Right. Anyways, when we come back, we got some good news going on. Also, the son of Il Supremo, Andrew Cuomo, has done it again and again. Anyways, this is 7.5 Radio on Libby News and Radio Network. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Patty, wife of former Congressman Steve Stockman. In Congress, Steve sought impeachment of Eric Holder for his corruption of the Justice Department and his fast and furious gun running that caused border agent Brian Talley's death. Steve called for arrest of Lois Lerner for her contempt of Congress as it investigated her targeting of conservative nonprofit groups. After 4 years, 4 grand juries, and millions of tax dollars, Steve Stockman is in prison. His case involved 4 checks to nonprofits. DOJ has one standard for Hillary Clinton, but another for folks like President Trump and my husband. We've spent all our savings, all Steve's retirement, and much of mine. Steve Stockman has fought for you and America. Won't you join me now to fight for Steve? To help, text FIGHT to 444-999. Text FIGHT to 444-999 or go to defendapatriot.com. defendapatriot.com.
Hi, I'm Dave. I'm 7 years old. I'm sitting here in the corner having a time out until Mom comes to talk to me. All I did was cut my sister's hair. I was just trying to help. I guess Mom didn't like how I did it. In a minute, she'll be back and ask me if I know what I did was wrong. Maybe I shouldn't have cut her hair. And she'll say we all make mistakes because we're just learning about stuff. And she'll give me a hug and we'll end up talking about more stuff.
No matter what you talk to your kids about, love is what they'll hear.
I really like Mom's timeouts, and I think she likes them too. Yeah, I think they help her remember how much she loves me.
A thought from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Visit us at Mormon.org.
I believe there will come a time when we are all judged on whether or not we took a stand in defense of all life from the moment of conception until our last natural breath. As a teenager, I gave my first public speech in my church. My hand shook, my heart pounded. I thought to myself, I can't do this, but somehow I did, and because I wanted to talk about things that were important, I persisted. I chided my church as a senior in high school for not seeming to care about the not yet born, for looking the other way, and for not taking a stand on life. I will be in earnest. I will not equivocate, and I will not excuse. I will not retreat an inch, and I will be heard. One thing I promise you, I will always take a stand for life.
You're back, and Scoop is just getting back from posting insults on Twitter. This is still 7.5 Radio.
You know, who needs Christmas music when you got the greatest bumpers in all of radio? But anyways, we're back here on 7.5 Radio, and now we have some good news. Well, take it away. Tell us what's going on with the 7.5 project.
Well, it's come to light. You know, it's out on the internet now. Underneath the, if you Google the 7.5, you can find out more information. The 7.5 has always been in the wings of being made into a feature-length movie. Back in 2014, at the first showing, Sony was in the theater when it was shown, and they just loved it. And they bought the rights to make the feature length. And it bounced around a couple of times. They hired a director and a screenwriter, you know, and a producer, John Lesher from Birdman. You know, it's just been on the back burner for a few years. And now about a year and a half ago, Ben Stiller of Zoolander fame and Dodgeball fame and Starsky and Hutch fame took an interest in the story and has jumped on board to possibly produce with his production company, along with, what's his name, Mike DeLuca. And Mike DeLuca, he was president of Sony back in 2014, 15, and 16. And he's with MGM, Metro Goldwyn Mayer, right now. And he got Sony to turn the rights over to MGM. So we have some big shots in there working on getting this project off the ground. The screenplay is in progress. They haven't officially started any casting yet, and there are a few people that are out there, that are kicking around to play parts of certain characters in the movie. So it looks like it's a go from now on, and hopefully it'll be out sometime at the end of next year. Maybe a Christmas movie. Who knows? But it's relatively good news. To round out 2020, which has been mostly a horror show for everybody.
Right. Well, here's my thoughts on this the 7.5 feature-length film. I mean, Hollywood is a propaganda machine. Perfect example, a couple weeks ago I posted on the blog about a gay cowboy Christmas movie. But I predict some changes in this 7.5 feature-length film First, only Michael Dowd's name will be used, as the studio will not have to pay you, Kenny, or Chicky. Martin Scorsese has done it in just about every movie he's ever made. Next, the 4 main characters will be all white guys, including Chicky. So the director or production company won't portray Hispanics in a bad light. Also, Detective Joe Hall would be played by a black person. And then Lieutenant Tromboli will be either female, gay, or transgender, or something representing the LGBTQ MTA community. And then the plot will go is that... say again?
He'd have his own trendy locker room.
Right. And then Mike Dowd and the 3 other individuals in the movie will continue to import guns and drugs into the ghetto so the black and brown people can die on the street. And the money made from your exploits will be used to start a race war or support white supremacist causes. How far from the truth do you think that will be?
Yeah, well, it depends on what Hollywood wants to do to the story. I always wanted Ving Rhames to play me. So you never know what's going to happen. You never know.
Well, the only problem is that the story took place about 35 years ago, and Ving Rhames is about your age now, so it'll be kind of hard. But who knows? They'll probably...
Maybe what's his name? Ice Cube's son. Maybe Ice Cube's son can play me.
No, because it's going to show black people in a bad light. It's definitely going to be a white person, probably a former NBA player.
Well, maybe Barack Obama's husband can play me.
Maybe, but anyways. Moving right along, the son of Il Supremo, Piccolo Supremo, or Andrew Cuomo, has proved once again that he literally wrote the book on leadership. This week, he signed a bill prohibiting the sale of the Confederate battle flag on public or state property, including the New York State Fairgrounds. Cuomo signed the bill knowing full well that it is in violation of the First Amendment. But anyways, bravo, Mr. Governor, because it's good to know that you have everything under control in the Empire State. The budget is balanced. No more COVID cases in New York. Bars and restaurants are open to capacity. And the people are moving back into New York, and businesses are coming back, bringing in jobs. So with all that said and done, I guess he has to ban the Confederate battle flag. But anyways, this law comes at a time where there is no rash of hate crimes of white people attacking black people under the banner of the Confederate States of America. But there are countless cases of black people attacking white people under the banner of anything and everything. Anyways, there are almost no Confederate flags flying anywhere, especially in the state of New York. But this is nothing more than pure political pandering. With everybody hating this guy, nobody asking him to cook him dinner or take him out for a drink. So he has to do something to get all the liberals in the 5 boroughs to like him again. So anyways, kudos to you, Mr. Governor. Another sign of failure. But just remember, ladies and gentlemen, his book called Leadership During the COVID Pandemic is available for yours to read. Well, any opinion on Il Supremo, or the son of Il Supremo?
Yeah, I do. Being a New Yorker myself for almost 40 years before I left town and came to the South. Since I've been down here, and it's 22 years now down here, I get asked all the time, what's it like in New York. People from the South that want to go visit New York, and a lot of them have that I've spoken to. And they come back and they tell me all this stuff that I sent them to, wouldn't really be on the tourist brochure, but where I sent them. They enjoyed it, and they found New Yorkers to be, quite presentable. And I said, well, they're pretty much like you because, you got money in your pocket. You're sitting in their bar drinking Jack Daniels at $5 a shot. So that's one of the reasons. But of late, people don't want to go to New York anymore from where I am. They said, they locked it when they went, a year or 2 or 3 or 4 ago. And now they wouldn't go if their life depended on it because of the Cuomo thing. And so, Cuomo, the I Love New York thing is like Cuomo's personal jingle. He says he loves New York, but he's driving everybody out. We don't know what the point is. So people aren't going to New York, not just because of the pandemic. Even if the pandemic ended tomorrow, I don't think anybody will be going to visit New York anytime soon until he gets out of office.
No. And certainly businesses are not moving into New York, and people are still moving out. There's nothing less. Think about this. During the Trump administration, they had 7 million more positions to fill than actual people to fill them. And all the states are doing gangbusters except New York. I wonder why. But anyways, moving right along, speaking of Cuomo, Mr. Cuomo was accused of sexual harassing one of his staffers. The young lady who is running for Manhattan Borough president complained that Governor Nichols, i.e. Andrew Cuomo, sexually harassed her and was very abusive towards his staffers. The staffer's name, Lindsay Boylan, said that Cuomo was very inappropriate towards her and has a reputation for this. But anyways, our friend Jack Antonio, who goes by this, we'll be right back, folks. More of Cuomo later.
Exposing corruption, informing citizens, pursuing liberty. You're listening to Liberty News Radio.
USA Radio News with Dan Naraki.
The second COVID vaccine is on the move after receiving an emergency use authorization from the Food and Drug Administration on Friday. Moderna's vaccine will move out from a Kentucky facility with deliveries beginning as early as Sunday. General Gustav Perna says the first shipments of shots have already left Moderna's facilities.
Distribution of Moderna vaccine has already begun. Moderna has moved vaccine from their fill-finish manufacturing sites to McKesson, who will serve as the central distributor. At McKesson distribution centers, boxes are being packed and loaded today. Trucks will begin rolling out tomorrow.
The COO of Operation Warp Speed also apologized Saturday for miscommunications over the number of Pfizer vaccines that were delivered to states this week. Many states complained about receiving fewer numbers of shots than promised in the initial round of deliveries. This is USA Radio News.
For over 3 years, you've heard me rave about the MyPillow Premium Pillow from Mike Lindell. You've heard how they don't go flat. You can wash them and dry them. They maintain their shape, and they are made in the USA. Well, now you can get the best deal ever on a MyPillow Premium Pillow, the ones that started it all. You can get a standard or queen-size premium MyPillow for $29.98. That's a $40 savings, and king-size pillows are only $5 more. This is the time to buy because that 60-day money-back guarantee is now extended to March 1st, 2021. Go to MyPillow.com. Click on the radio offer square. Use my promo code USA. There you'll find this special and savings deep discounts on all the MyPillow products, but only if you go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio offer square and use my promo code USA. Or call 1-800-951-8175. Tell them you want the USA Radio special on MyPillow Premium Pillows.
As negotiations over a coronavirus stimulus bill continue, Pennsylvania Senator Pat Toomey is raising an issue with the provision in the CARES Act that was passed earlier this year. Toomey wants to limit the Federal Reserve's emergency powers to provide loans to businesses, cities, and states, powers that it was given in the CARES Act. Senator Bill Cassidy believes that's a power that should remain with the legislative branch. He tells ABC News that Congress shouldn't be delegating its fiscal responsibilities to other agencies.
If the Fed is going to have powers for an emergency, Congress can grant those powers. But Congress should not continue giving away authority to the executive branch, to the Fed, etc. That's not how our founding fathers set it up. They wanted Congress to actually deliberate. We showed we can deliberate quickly. We can get the Fed with the authority and the Fed with the money for whatever is needed. But I personally would rather power to reside where our founding fathers wanted it to be, in Congress, and not ceded to other agencies.
This is USA Radio News.
Wow, you're still listening? Here's more 7.5 Radio.
Yep, they are still listening, and I got to put some more quarters in this payphone. But anyways, before we were so really interrupted by the Doors, I was talking about New York Governor Andrew Cuomo again. The same week he signed the Confederate flag ban bill, a female staffer named Lindsey Boylan, who is running for Manhattan Borough President, accuses Piccolo Supremo of sexual harassment. Now, I don't know if Cuomo was inappropriate with this lady or not, but to me, there's not enough evidence. However, if in the comment section of our website, our friend Jack Antonio, whose real name is John Anthony, said that he has, insider said that Andrew Cuomo was a womanizer, a woman beater, and like the powdered candy. But again, these are all allegations, so we really don't know. But anyways, the media has been deadly silent on Governor Nipples. When Tara Reid came out accusing Joe Biden of sexual harassment, the media spent one day on it and killed it. But this is the modus operandi on the garbage media. They keep the lid on things on Democrats until they're finally brought up on charges. And I guess the Me Too movement died when a Democrat does it. But anyways, unless you're, what's his name? What's that pervert sexual predator?
Biden?
No, not Biden. The other guy that's so-called committed suicide at the MCC. Jeffrey Epstein. No, Jeffrey Epstein. Unless you're Jeffrey Epstein.
No, what can I tell you?
Right. But anyway, so Governor Nipples, no media cover whatsoever. Don't forget the governor's brother, Fredo Cuomo, works for CNN. But anyways, there's another individual who's been accused of sexual inappropriate behavior. His name is Scott Baio. You remember him from Happy Days and from Charles in Charge. I was a big fan of Happy Days. I can relate to Scott Baio's character of Church Arcola because he was one of the youngest characters on the show. And anyways, Mr. Baio is a patriot. He is a conservative, and he does have a Twitter account. And not only do I follow him, but he follows us on the 7.5 Twitter account. But anyways, he had a relationship with one of his co-stars named Nicole Eggert. She claimed that he was inappropriate with her or had a relationship when she was below the age of consent. And she came out about 25 years after the fact. Now, Baio has admitted he did have a relationship with Ms. Eggert, but she was of the age of consent. Now, here's the thing about sexual predators, especially from Hollywood. They have a pattern of sexually abusing people everywhere, and people cover it up. Now, if you look at Scott Baio, nobody else came out accusing him of doing anything wrong, number one. Number two, Scott Baio is not one of these Hollywood types getting involved with shootings, car chases, overdoses, court dates, baby mama drama. You don't see him on TMZ. So, it makes me wonder, it really questions the validity of Nicole Eggert, who's done nothing in 25 years. But according to the Me Too movement and the mainstream media and social media, Scott Baio is nothing but a sexual predator. But then Governor Nipples, it's nothing. Well, what's your take on Governor Nipples versus Scott Baio?
It's always the same. If it's a woman who is making the allegation against a conservative, it just gets blown up. If it's a woman accusing a liberal, it just gets squashed. It's the end of the story. As soon as somebody says something, it's the end of the story. They strung up Judge Kavanaugh. 2 years ago, a year ago, and
right.
I mean, the guy had to go in front of the committee with calendars that he kept since he was a kid. And there was absolutely nothing that woman Ford could bring up that was concrete in any way, not even wet concrete. You've had that in what was it, in Georgia or Alabama, that senator that was running. They had some old lady come on and said that when she was in high school, the senator was an attorney or something.
That was Roy Moore. He was a judge running for senator for Alabama.
All right, and then earlier this year we had a Biden female associate when he was a senator said sexual harassment and, during the presidential debate on the left side. You had 8 people calling him what did she call him? Kamala.
Well, more or less, he's a sexual predator because, there's evidence there's photographs and video of Joe Biden acting inappropriately to children and other females. And there's also a rumor going around, I don't know if it's a rumor, but almost a verified story that at a Christmas party, Joe Biden was getting fresh with either a wife or a girlfriend of his Secret Service detail, and fisticuffs was almost thrown. And there's also other rumors.
It just goes to show you that the left is pretending to be untouchable. And the more you say, give us the same play, the more they ignore you and say that you're a narcissist or you're a psycho or you're just looking for your 15 minutes of fame. When it's actually the other way around. What goes around comes around. If you pick on people long enough, if you hit that dog in the snout with that newspaper long enough, man, that dog is going to bite you. And these people are going to get bit. And hopefully it's soon. I'd like to see Cuomo in front of a grand jury trying to explain that, no, I never touched her or it was consensual. We down here in Nashville a few years ago, we had the mayor of Nashville. She was arrested and booted out of office because of improprieties with her bodyguard. It just gets bit. The little people are getting nibbled at, but once somebody bites into them, it's going to be fun. I'm going to enjoy watching Cuomo go down and watch his brother go down with him because they're 2 peas in a pod, those characters. Take that Q-tip. Won't be no Q-tip. Won't be a big Q-tip that he'd be getting in jail, that's for sure.
Anyways, moving right along. Also, don't forget Hunter Biden. There's stuff on his laptops that he was doing inappropriate things with minors in his own family. Forget the fact he was stooping his dead brother's wife. They must keep they like to keep in the family them crazy Bidens. But anyways, moving right along. Walter, what do you got in terms of Trump giving out pardons like Christmas cards?
What was that? Who's giving out Christmas cards? I didn't get any.
No, I said, what do you have in terms of President Trump giving out pardons like their Christmas cards?
He's at the end of his office. There's nothing he could do about the election anymore. It's a done deal for Biden. So the last month that he's in office, he's going to run pardons through the White House. Quite quickly. I think he's got 8 or 9 lined up before the end of the week. I don't know who they are. They're nonviolent pardons, is what they're going to be. Mostly drug and white collar crimes. So he's going to do what he can to help out some people while he's still got a few weeks left.
Right, and I wish Trump would throw all these people that violated the FISA warrants, lied on sworn affidavits, that spied on him, spied on the American people. He should lock them up. But again, I guess that's not what they do in Washington, D.C. Like I always said, I've been saying for 10 years that nobody goes to jail in D.C. And here you have a clear and cut case of voter fraud. First, we're told by the garbage media there's no voter fraud. Then it comes out. Then there's no widespread voter fraud, and there it is. And it's like, well, it's not what you see. It's not the voter fraud you see is not voter fraud. So, anyways, that's the world we're living in. It's absolutely reprehensible. But anyways, when we come back, we'll have a Christmas wish for everybody. Hopefully it's as good as the political cesspools. But stay tuned, everybody. We're at 75radio.org.
As a parent, is receiving a faith-based, character-focused education for your children difficult to find? Do you believe that godly principles should be a central component in your child's education? Imagine a school where faith and integrity are at its center, where heritage and responsibility instill character. For over 40 years, American Heritage School has been educating both hearts and minds, bringing out academic excellence. This is the school where character and embracing the providence of a living God are fundamental, where students' national test scores average near the 90th percentile. With American Heritage School's advanced distance education program, distance is no longer an issue. With an accredited LDS-oriented curriculum from kindergarten through 12th grade, your children can attend from anywhere in the world. American Heritage School will prepare your child for more than a job. It will prepare them for life. To learn more, visit american-heritage.org. That's american-heritage.org.
As the United States boldly stepped forward in the glorious light provided by its new Constitution in 1787, the nations of the earth were in awe of the newfound strength and hope of this free land. Today, the nation stands at a crossroads. A divergence from the original intent put forth in the United States Constitution has brought grave threats to our beloved nation. A miracle is needed if the United States is to survive. That miracle is again the pure application of the United States Constitution. I'm Scott Bradley. In my To Preserve the Nation book and lecture series, I bring forth truths that will help raise up a new generation of statesmen like those noble Americans who founded this land. Vigorous application of these principles will invigorate and restore the nation, and we may become again the freest, most prosperous, most respected, and happiest nation on earth. Visit topreservethenation.com to begin that restoration.
Okay, girls, about finished with your lesson on money?
Daddy, what is a buy-sell spread for gold coins?
Well, when you sell a gold coin to a coin shop that's worth, say, $1,200, you don't actually get $1,200. But don't worry, we're members of UPMA now, so we don't have to worry about that.
Daddy, what if somebody steals our gold?
We don't have any gold at the house. It's stored safely in the UPMA vault, securely and insured.
But the S&P 500 outperformed gold. Daddy, gold is a bad investment.
Some people do think of it that way, but actually, gold is money. And as members of the United Precious Metals Association, we can use our gold at any store, just like a credit card. Or I can ask them to drop it right into Mommy and Daddy's bank account, because we're a UPMA member family. Find out more at upma.org. That's upma.org.
This is 7.5 Radio with Walter Yuku. Walter Yurkow. Walter Kiwi. Here's Walton Scoop.
Thank you, James. Walt, why do we have that horrible voiceover during one of the best songs ever made in rock and roll?
Oh, you're going to have to ask Mr. Edwards about that.
Right. The only problem, and what's even worse, he reads it live every week, even when you're not here. But anyways. To say that 2020 was a rough year is an understatement. But this time, I want to wish each and every one of you a very merry and blessed Christmas. Remember, the reason for the season is the birth of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And a lot of people need a lot of prayers this season. So please pray for those people who need them, especially our not-so-sexy intern, Mike Guerin. He's going through a rough patch. I mean, not only is he part of 7.5 Radio, but he has other things going on. But anyways, also I want to remind everybody to take the time to reach out to loved ones, because when they are gone for good. Also, remember, the phone works two ways. I mean, who doesn't want a friendly phone call from somebody that they haven't heard for a while? And when somebody wishes you a happy holidays or season greetings, reply Merry Christmas, because the left has done everything in its power to remove Christ from Christmas and everything else, because the left hates Christ. And one of the reasons why they hate Christ is because all the Europeans worship Christ. Because when I was stationed in Europe years ago, everywhere we went, there was churches on every corner. Just like in Irish neighborhoods back home, there's bars on every corner. What's your thoughts on this fine and merry Christmas season?
Well, it's been a fabulous 4 years, even though 2020 has been a ticking time bomb that goes off every once in a while, but hasn't wiped us out yet. The last 4 years have been great with Mr. Trump in the White House. Now we're going to have this guy. He's going to be our second Catholic president, and we'll see what happens with this character. But for this season, before next year starts, just lean back, step back, and look around and see what you're grateful for, and pass it along, because what you have is gone in the blink of an eye. Not to get morbid or creepy, but I've had 6 deaths in the past week that were friends, family, and extended family, and none of them from COVID. But in the blink of an eye, 3 were untimely, and 3 just aged out. But it was just an awful thing that it can be gone in a blink of an eye. So look after yourself, look after your loved ones, and just pass it along. If you're wearing a mask and I'm not wearing a mask, walk on by. Don't say something negative. If I'm not wearing a mask and you are, don't say nothing to you, because there's nothing to say. I'm not wearing a mask.
Right, but that's something else we can talk about next week for the masks. Anyways, I want to wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas. Well, I'll talk to you before Christmas. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, please take that time. If you're estranged from your mom or dad or kids, get a hold of them, because one of the reasons why I was on assignment last week is to visit my folks. And Mom didn't look too good, but anyway, she's making a rebound. But it was good to see him. And one of my biggest regrets now is I'm pushing closer to 50, and my parents are pushing closer to the afterlife, is that I haven't spent enough time seeing them because of all my different jobs with public service, the military, or this current crappy job. But that's another story. But if you got a chance, once again, please visit your parents. Also, remember Christ. Walt and I, we might not sound like we're Christians, but we're more God-fearing now than we were 20, 30 years ago, even though we have issues with the church and the way they do things. And we can't even go to church. Thank you, government. The First Amendment says Congress will not prevent free expression of religion. But look where we're at right now. Walmart's open for business, and they're doing pretty good. Casinos are open for business, but churches, no, since they don't generate any revenue for the state, guess what? They had to be closed. Anything else there before we close out for Christmas?
Just that, this thing with the closing the bars down at 10 o'clock and 100 yards away in another town, they could stay open until 2 o'clock, the Staten Island thing, it's still going on in New York. And, New York is, pretty much the capital of the United States. for lack of a better term, because it's so well known. Everything goes through New York. It's just horrible to think that it's setting a precedent for other liberal states to go ahead, shut it down, don't worry about it. Alabama is shut down until the 21st of next month. Of course, that's the inauguration, It's just unbelievable. I mean, you can't even go to Hooters and enjoy wings and boobs on Christmas Eve, with an ice cold beer. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous taking that away from everybody. I just don't understand. Everybody should be dead according to Cuomo. Everybody should be dead that didn't wear a mask this year. I'm just disgusted with the pandemic, and I think after talking about it the last 6 months, people know where I stand with it.
Right, exactly. And speaking of New York and the pandemic, these restaurants have to bend over backwards to remain open for business. So if you don't have the partition or the social distancing or all these other asinine laws, you get big fat fines. So these businesses are struggling to stay open. These mom and pop restaurants and bars and whatnot, paying these people wait staff get below minimum wage. They live on tips. They're giving them big fat hefty fines. So I mean the state regulators, they're getting paid every 2 weeks, even though the state is billions in debt. But, Joe's Bar down at the corner, they're getting $1,000 fine, which is absolutely ridiculous. And hopefully we have another Pataki to throw this Cuomo as keister, because it's just people are actually fed up with Cuomo. My last trip to New York was just there's absolutely nothing going on in the Empire State because, granted, everything's shut down. And also with the go ahead.
When in the beginning of this pandemic, each and every state, made its own bylaws because, Mr. Trump said, all right, you people are smart enough, you're governors, set some standards. And, maybe that was a mistake because they panicked. But every time they panicked and said, all right, shut it down, he was promised that we're going to open up in a month. His promise we're going to open up by May. His promise we're going to open up in June. And these small, like you said, mom and pop places, they were holding on and holding on and holding on. It would have been better for the mom and pops if all the governor said was shut down for a year. Shut down for a year. That would have prepared people to say, all right, I'm going bankrupt. I might as well just go bankrupt now. I might as well just turn it in now instead of spending my whole life savings trying to keep it open. A lot of people would have been in a lot better shape if we just shut the whole thing down or left the whole thing open. This promise of being open in 3 weeks, we'll be open in 10 days. We're going to open up on the 25th of August. That was a lot of empty promises. They knew they weren't going to open. They knew it. But you got people pouring all their life savings into staying open, and keeping their vendors paid and paying their rent and their electric and everything else. It just destroyed people. It just destroyed people. And, claiming bankruptcy when you broke, they should have just shut it down and saved their savings, They should have just shut it down.
Exactly. Right. And this year for CPAC, they're having it down in Florida because Florida's open for business. And they're doing booming. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, the state of Maryland and Prince George's County, Maryland, will be losing a ton of money. And unfortunately, yours truly won't be shut out this year because I can't even go because it's way out of state for me. But it's just absolutely ridiculous, and that's the difference between voting on the left and voting for the right. I'm sick and tired of Republicans. I'm a registered independent. But states like Texas and Florida, they're doing great. States like New York and California, they're doing awful. Meanwhile, you see the governors with family gatherings, 10, 12, 15 people in the house. They're not wearing any masks, and then when they get caught, it's like, oops, my bad. And, nothing happens to them. And the media says nothing about it because it's the garbage media, and they're all in on it. But anyways, enough about that. But next week we'll be talking about our future for 7.5 Radio, what we have coming in 2021. But for Walter Yerkew, this is Peter Scoop Stanton, wishing everybody a very very Merry Christmas. And we'll talk to you via New Year's Eve special, I guess, or New Year's Eve special. But anyways, once again, for Walter Yerkew, this is Pete Scoop Stanton. You can make a difference. Go out and make it. So long, everybody.
This is James Edwards for 7-5 Radio. For those who work the streets and the jails, thanks for keeping us safe. So long, everybody.